Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, Access Rotation, however the flip you know me in these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a recap of what happened during Major 2 of the CDL season. That, of course, being our most recent major hosted across the pond in Birmingham, UK. So, hope you guys enjoyed the intro. As always, quick housekeeping thing now that we are at the halfway point through the season. Let's go to the channel, check it out. So, as you guys can see, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. At 693 currently, started the weekend at about 680 something. So, thanks to all the people that subbed. If you guys missed anything from Major 2, as you can see, your boy uploaded from the start on Friday, where we saw the Gentlemates taking over against the Carolina Royal Ravens, which I'll talk about in a second, to the grand finals last night, where we saw my GOAT, Simp, Chris Lair, 04, Abuza, and Draws hoist that Major 2 trophy. Draza and Simp are now back-to-back Major 2 champions, and Simp is now on a four-peat. So, without further ado, if you guys missed anything, all of that is in the CDL Major 2 playlist. It has every highlight from the weekend, all 16 matches in chronological order, of course. And if you missed anything from CDL Stage 2, there were 104 series between the online qualifiers and our LAN. So, your boy has been on a mission trying to get you guys the most comprehensive coverage in the COD community before I put my website up. So, enough housekeeping. Let's get into what was one of the best tournaments in recent memory. So, to start things off with a hot tempo, we had the Toronto Koi coming out against the Vancouver Surge, getting a quite hot 3-1. There were two matches running concurrently at the same time. The play-in bracket ran concurrent, so we had Koi and Surge on the Bravo station, which was the main Call of Duty stream, with ads, mind you. We're not going to talk about that. And then we had Mates versus the Ravens on the main stream. So, I, of course, started clipping Mates versus Ravens first because that was a series on mainstream. So, that was, we'll start there, actually. We'll start with what I actually ended up watching first, and then we'll go to Surge versus Toronto Koi. So, the Mates versus Carolina Royal Ravens series was not ultimately too surprising. We all kind of expected by the time the Ravens got out of the bedroom for things to revert back to where they were when we first saw them at Major 1, right? Swing and a miss on land, but, you know, from the bedroom, they look pretty serviceable.
Balls.
So, speaking of serviceable, Lurks, who else but at this point, right? For the Ravens was their standout 1.08 KD, positive 6, and Exceed tried his very best with plus 4 to complement, but Envoy plus 10, Ghosty plus 7, and then Neptune and Sib went neg 3 and 5. So very, very good team play from both sides. Craze had not really a rough series, but there was a gap. Minus 13 is pretty rough. So he didn't have his best series, but it wasn't all-time terrible, right? It was a very close series, all things decided. It just came down to, you know, the better team consistently making better plays. So, speaking of the better team making better plays, the better team on map 1 was the Carolina Royal Ravens. They came out very hot in map 1, 250 to 183, making everyone unsure of what kind of Gentlemates performance we would see on the weekend. But Gentlemates, as you guys can clearly tell, right at the ship. So Lurks blacked out 30 and 23, Exceed 26 and 23, Nero 25 and 24, and Craze 21 and 24. Then on the Gentlemates side, everyone negative with the exception of Ghosty, who was plus 2, 23 and 21. Map 2, the S&D on Colossus. This is where the Gentlemates got their get back. Nep losses, on losses for Envoy, of course, whatever you want to call it. Envoy 13 and 6. He was the shot caller. That's all she wrote, right? You got a guy going 13 and 6. You're probably going to win the map as long as everybody does their 25%. Ghosty and Neptune both had 5 and 5, so that's definitely your 25% right there. And Sib, he had a rough one, 5 and 9, but he had some really crucial snipes. So, on the other side, Exceed was 8 and 6, and the rest went neg, but it's S&D, so going neg is not really a big deal. In the map 3 exposure overload, we of course had the Gentlemates coming out hot, getting an 8-4 victory over the Carolina Royal Ravens. Behind 25 and 17 from Nep, 23 and 17 from Ghosty, Envoy 24 and 22, and Sib going even. And then on the other side, you had Exceed, the BK, going absolutely nuts, charbroiling the mate burgers, if you will, going 29-20, but not enough. Speaking of not enough, the Carolina Royal Ravens did not have enough to get past the Gentlemates in the play-in and make it to the bracket because Gentlemates won 250-230 behind 28 and 25 from Sib, 30 and 27 from Envoy, and then on the other side, everybody on the Ravens was positive with the exception of Exceed, who went -10. So you have to figure if you get a better game out of Exceed, probably win it. Neptune was -7, that was their chance, but couldn't capitalize, right? And Sib and Envoy, they just did the dirty work and they were frying. So you don't need everybody to fry. You just need about 3 players to fry, clearly, to win one of these very close maps. I mean, yeah, Ravens were outslaying Nero +5, you have Lurks +5, then you have Craze +2, and then Exceed -10. So, I mean, it all peters out, right? Because in the end, Carolina was only ahead by 2 kills in the kill tally because of Exceed's -10. But comparatively, I mean, the other 3 were just playing way better. So, mates proved their objective efficiency. Like when I did the breakdown of the COD for Dummies series between these two teams, mates' objective efficiency, especially against Ravens, is definitely there. So, speaking of teams whose objective efficiency was indeed there, Toronto, Koi, and Insight had an amazing weekend. Jamie Insight being the standout for the first series KD-wise was definitely a sign of things to come on the weekend for this Toronto side. 75 and 66 from him, 83 and 77 from Kleenex, 82 and 78 from Kips, the rookie, and 75 and 72 from their marquee star, Joe Deceives. On the other side, Gwyn, of course, the star of this Vancouver side, was the only player to go even, and then Capstol, he was -20, so that'll do it. Looking at the map 1, speaking of that'll do it, we had a 250-226 victory in favor of the Vancouver Surge. Lunars was 22 and 16, Capsule 29 and 26, 23 and 22 out of Gwyn, and Tej was feeling like Tej with 24 and 23. Then on the opposite side, Kips, the rookie, tried his very best, 31 and 27, and Kleenex was 26 and 24. But when you have Joe going -10 and Insight going -7, I mean, -17, it's going to be very hard to win a map. Like, that's a 2v4. Speaking of a 2v4, you of course had the Toronto Koi taking the map 2 on Raid S&D. It was really a 2v4 in this one, if we're being honest, right? You had TJ and Cap really doing the bulk of the work, and then, you know, Toronto Koi, everybody just showed up, except Kips had a rough one, but consequentially he made some big plays. Like, there was a clutch he had early on, and yeah, everybody else also just did their part. Kleenex 10 and 6, Joe 9 and 8, Insight went even, and then on the other side you had TJ Halley going for the crumble cookie 12 and 5, but yeah, wasn't enough. So, exposure overload 8-0. I mean, not a lot to say there. 25 and 12 from Joe, 24 and 14 from Insight, 21 and 17 for Kleenex, and 15 and 14 for Kips. So, yeah, just belt. Speaking of belt, Scar HP wasn't really belt. It was a close one, 42-point game. But yeah, it went the way of the Toronto Koi. Insight 28 and 22, and then Kips 32 and 28. Joe was negative by 1, and Kleenex -4. And then on the other side, Lunars was 28 and 24, and then Gwyn was 29 and 26 for the L. And the other two, of course, Capsule was -9, and Tej was -3. So that's how the Vancouver Surge were sent right back home in ceremonious fashion. Speaking of people who got it done in ceremonious fashion, you guys know I was thinking FaZe would topple the LA Thieves, as you can see in the bracket. I was thinking FaZe here, and I was also conversely thinking Miami in the same timeline. So let's start with the FaZe versus LA Thieves series, because obviously this was on main stage, and it went 5, so there's a lot to dissect. Plus, spoiler, FaZe won the event. So, 1.34 from my GOAT, Mr. Chris Lair, Simp, 122 kills, 91 deaths, 14,000 Dammy, 1.06 series IR. And yeah, looking at the LA Thieves, Scrap had a 1.11, but everybody else went negative. And on the other side, for FaZe Vegas, we had the fucking GOAT Lair going absolutely crazy, and the CEO, you know, former LA Thieves royalty, won them a ring, and then joined the other red side, the redder side, now the pink side, you know, draws a 1.24 on him. 04 had a 0.98, so pretty good performance from him, and Abuza was -12, so slow performance for Abuza, but I mean, it is what it is, right? So looking at the map 1, Den HP, you had Draza as the clear standout from both sides. He had a 1.38 KD, 36 and 26. And on the other side, Scrap was just he died one more time, right? So 36 and 27 out of Scrap, but it was a duel between the two guys that hate each other the most in the CDL, Scrap and Draza. Both dropped 36 and 25-esque, so that's kind of interesting. And then you had Neum and Simp going head-to-head for the second best player on their respective teams. Simp with a 1.3, 35 and 27, and Neum 31 and 28. So Neum is clearly locking himself in as the clear-cut second best player on this team, and he's definitely showing that he is a great duo for Scrap going forward. Speaking of going forward, the LA Thieves went forward and went up 2-0 in the series, taking the Scar S&D, which I believe was FaZe's pick. So, if you missed this map one, go short. Be sure to go check it out because honestly, FaZe they went up like 100 to 16. Yeah, aBeZy was 1 and 17, I believe. So aBeZy finishing 21 and 33 is all things considered pretty respectable, considering the fact that he basically went like 20 and like 16 over that span. So, looking at the map 3, Den Overload, you of course had who else but aBeZy, man I was just speaking of. Ears must be hot. Going 26 and 25 to complement his SMG duo Hydra, who had the same scoreline. Twinsies, but Lzies. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of twinsies, Simp the Pimp with no limp went absolutely crazy with 04. 34 and 21 from Simp, 27 and 25 from Twin. Draza went even, and then his Zaza bro Abuza also went even. 24 and 24 for Draws, 21 and 21 for Abuza. 21. You know what I'm saying? So this is where Abuza and the boys woke up. They got right. They got back on the horse, and they started marching into battle, right? Draza, I mean, he just had a great series. Like, that's all that can be said. Same with Simp. Simp obviously had the best series of anyone in this lobby, but Draza, I mean, he did what, a 1.24? Yeah, he did a 1.24. So Draza, amazing series from him. Great weekend. That's consequentially why FaZe did so well. 43 and 30 from the Pimp for the dub. 38 and 28 from Drawzilla. 34 and 31 from Twin. And 30 and 32 from Mr. Jordan Abuza himself. 44 and 34 was the best performance on the Thieves from Scrap. Everybody else has got a motherfucking swirly. You know what I'm saying? Scrap tried his very best to keep them in this, but he was just pulling some heavy ass across that finish line. You know what I'm saying? Like Nicki Minaj size ass. Like massive ass. Anyways, speaking of massive ass, the LA Thieves put up a massive masterclass in the Game 5 Den S&D after going up 2-0 in this series. So that's a rough one. That's supremely tough, as a man would so eloquently say, Mr. Soluminati. And yeah, 11 and 6 from Hydra. I mean, what more do you want from me? You know what I'm saying? So 10 and 5 from the CEO. Hostile takeover. Board meeting was called. Everybody on the LA Thieves side was nixed. Said take your ass to the losers bracket. Simps dropping a 1.5 on your head. I know Ernie's about to say he's about to drop his nuts on somebody in a couple days, but Simp dropped his nuts on you, and so did Draza. So let's go next. 04, 8 and 6. A boost 5 and 6, and that is G to the motherfucking G. So, speaking of G to the G, we had the GMs taking down the MHs. You know what I'm saying, if we're just going to go with initials. So, the Gentlemates took down the Miami Heretics, the guys that we all thought would have a pretty monumental run at this Major 2, considering the fact that they stole the second seed in the CDL, and they won, obviously, the lion's share of their matches going into the qualifiers because they came in as the second seeded team. So, Rencor, the leader of this team, the rookie of the year, current reigning rookie of the year, dropped to 1.37, which is what we've come to expect from Rencor. He is a top 3 player in this league right now, argue with a fucking wall. 1.11 from Super, 1.05 from Trakes, the guy who I think is probably got rookie of the year locked up. Ghosty with a 1.22, and everybody on mates went hella negative. Envoy was neg 19. Ghosty said, just get y'all asses in the damn backpack, man. We're not losing just yet. So yeah, looking at the map 1, Ghosty, of course, he called shot, he called game. The team captain took over, and he had his Aaron Judge moment in the regular season, where you guys in the comments talking shit, oh, October. Yeah, well, October comes later, okay? So, during this April matchup for the Gentlemates, leaning into the joke, we had Ghosty dropping 33 and 24 in the map 1, and then Neptune right there to complement with 29 and 28. Then on the on the other side for the Miami Heretics, you of course had Rancor 30 and 25, and Super, his co-rookie of the year, with an even 25 and 25. Map 2, of course, went the way of the Heretics, as we all kind of expected. They looked to be the best S&D team in the world throughout Stage 2. Right up there with FaZe, probably, I would say, in OpTic. But I would say Miami was the best team in my mind. 10-4 out of Rancor, 10-5 out of Metals, and then Super was 7-4, Trakes was 4-6. Then on the other side, everybody on the mates went negative. 6-7 was the best from Envoy. Excuse me. So, on the exposure overload, this is where the Gentlemanmates, of course, took a 2-1 edge in the series behind 32 and 19 from Ghosty. Honestly, looking at the box score, Ghosty was just putting up Herculean efforts to will these guys across the finish line throughout this entire series, and most likely most of the weekend, because Envoy had a very bad weekend. Neptune was not his usual self, and Sib was okay, but I do remember Ghosty being really good. So, 1.63 KD from Super on the other side, which is pretty tough. 31-19 on exposure overload. That's a lot of kills and a lot of pressure. Like, usually you guys can see, I mean, 18 kills, 19 kills, 20 to 25 is a pretty typical overload game. You hit 26, 27, you cooked. So 31 is out of here. 27 and 27 out of Trakes is a lot of pressure. So surprising to see that the Miami Heretics lost this one, but I do remember Gentlemanmates had a deficit most of the game, and then within like the last minute, I believe, they brought it back. So this series was just a game of inches. Miami does not have anything to say, oh man, we completely choked and we came out flat. It was just a lot of very close situationals going the way of a team that just won the first event, right? You expect the guys who won the last event to decidedly make less mistakes than a team that's never won an event and has a rookie on their team, right? So looking at it, of course, the Gentlemanmates took a 250 to 240, as you can see. 31-31 out of Siblings. Envoy and the rest went neg. All dropped .93s, but in different variations. 28 and 30 out of Envoy. Ghosty 26 and 28, and Nep 25 and 27. So they were all very close to even. And yeah, Sib just went even. So that just goes to show you that the objective efficiency was there, even though they were getting massively slayed out. Looking at the Miami Heretics side, for the loss, Rancor dropped 41 and 24. Clipping this one was pretty sad because I hated to see this from Miami Heretics. They worked really hard. They made a lot of really necessary improvements. And, you know, to get one shot like this, it's kind of tough. 1.35 from the Rookie of the Year, Trakes, 35 and 26. And, yeah, I mean, Gentlemanmates just had more pressure for him. They had that thing for him. Speaking of people who had that thing for him, Mercules had that thing for him. He made him suck it. I mean, holy. Wow, 66 and 49, 1.35 from the kid, 1.24 from Splash. Splash. Had to hit the Chris move on him, you know what I'm saying? So, 1.0 KD from Shotzi. And then Huke, the nuke, the best player in the world throughout most of stage 2 in most people's minds, slightly neg 3, so not a big deal. Kleenex, of course, 66 and 56, great showing from him, plus 10. That's definitely what you want to see from the captain and the mainstay of this Toronto, formerly Ultra team. Joe Deceives, of course, a new mainstay, the new rising face of this team, went 58 and 57. But when you have Insight going, holy shit, negative 16, you got Kips going neg 20, you got to go next. So yeah. Looking at the map 1, 250 to 218 out of the OpTic Texas boys. Interesting thing about this map 1, Toronto had a lot of pressure. They just really, really struggled to get those kills as the game transitioned. Throughout the first rotation of this game, Toronto actually had the advantage in terms of the momentum as well as the scoreline, but they let it slip. They let OpTic back into the game. They were very lazy with their setups. They did not hold spawns. And OpTic, just being a more disciplined team, it was easy work for them to make the comeback. I'm just being honest. So, looking at Joe Deceives, dropped 35 and 30. Kleenex dropped 32 and 28. And Kips and Insight just dropped their fucking controllers. Holy shit. 17 and 29 out of Kips and Insight 14 and 26. Brother, what? Then on the OpTic side, I mean, they dropped their fucking nuts on them. 35 and 23 out of Shotzi. Mercules 30 and 26. 26 and 27 out of Huke. And then Dashy 90.95 KD 21 and 22. So, map 2, not a lot to talk about there. 13 and 2 from the Jesus of OpTic, Mercules himself. The mullet, whatever you want to call him at this point. 5 and 1 out of Splash. 4 and 4 out of Huke the Nuke, and 3 and 5 out of Shotzzy. He had his feet up. Everybody on Koi went hilariously negative. And then in the map 3, speaking of people going hilariously negative, you of course had Kips going -6, but you had Shotzzy going -10, and they still won in a very close overload. So, yeah, OpTic looked really good here. Dashy 21-15. Merc, his AR duo 23 and 21. Honestly, Dashy and Merc were just on some duo shit this whole series. Like, they fried the whole time. Like, apart from map 1 where Dashy had a slow one, but 2 and 3, Merc and Dashy were just running it. As you guys heard me say before, Kleenex and Joe, they did their thing. Kleenex, he just didn't get any help. That's what that was. Speaking of people not getting help, I mean, Kremp definitely got a lot of help, but Fred, the help was, it came at points, but it just wasn't enough. So, speaking of enough, Kremp was definitely more than enough. 1.26, 68 kills, 54 deaths. Somebody trade him. My God, 8,000 damage, 1.16 series IR. I mean, it was Kremp losses once again, ladies and gentlemen. He just absolutely came out and belted these guys. He didn't even need the Colossus to come through for the map 1 to give them vicious lashes. So, let's get into it. Skies, Caesar Skies, he invested in his game. 33 and 29 from the captain of this team, the vet. That's what you want to see. He's leading the troops, excusez-moi. And then you have Kremp. He's not really a young player at this point. He's been in the league for at least 3 years. So, Kremp, you know, he's a solid veteran player at this point. He's definitely become one of the better SMGs, and he definitely showed in this map. 32 and 31 in a very closely contested. Came down to the P4, as always, kind of den, right? Looking at the map 2, Expose S&D, this is usually a map that is very, very good for G2, but also has been a map that's pretty good for Falcons. So to see them get dominated was definitely surprising. Exon was 8 and 6, but everybody else just consistently, round over round, got trounced by Skies, Mamba, Kremp, and Estriel. They just had too much pressure. Sky 6 and 3 with that boomstick, 7 and 5 out of Kremp, Estriel 7 and 6, and Mamba even. Then in the map 3 where we closed it out, it was a close one, but in the end, you live by the parked bus, you die by the parked bus. Shout out to, you know, those countries where they got a lot of buses. I believe Bangladesh is one of them. So, Kremp, 29 and 18, 1.61 KD, 21 and 21 from Skies, 21, 21. You know what I'm saying? And then Estriel went -8. Not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, 19 and 27. And then on the Falcon side, you of course have Pred going absolutely crazy. Like I said a minute ago, got no help from his supporting cast. Celium 20 and 19, and then Kismet 23 and 24, and X -10. So you got to figure if X puts up a better map 3, probably does not end within those 3. Speaking of ending within 3, FaZe Vegas came out. They collected their first scalp from the LA Thieves, and then they came into this series against the Gentlemates, who just beat a very good-looking Miami Heretics, I might add, and they gave them absolute belt. They just said mink, mink, mink. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. I mean, Draza, hostile takeover, called a board meeting, nixed everybody from the corporation. He said, I run this. You guys are my sons. Sib is not better than me. You know what it is.
Sib is not fucking better
1.34 from the CEO, 71 kills, 53 deaths, 8,000 damage, 1.19 series IR. Looking at the mates, the best player from their team was Siblance, the guy who I famously said Draza is not better than. Play that clip, Christopher.
We clutched up, and
Ghosty,
Sib is not
of course,
fucking better
going
than me.
-9, Envoy -12, and Neptune going -15, which is one of the worst series we've seen from Mr. McLeod in a long time. So, looking at the CEO did CEO things. Like I said, 1.34, 71 kills, 53 deaths, excusez-moi. Abuza, the Zaza duo, he had 69 and 53, nice. 6-7 out of 04 and 59. And then Simp, the pimp, had no limp because he was positive with a 1.02 going 59 and 58. Speaking of a limp, Abuza gave him a limp after he clapped those motherfucking cheeks on the exposure hearts. Holy. 45 and 26 out of one half of the Zaza duo. Simp, the GOAT, 1.14, 33 and 29. Draza went even, and 04 was -2, so everybody on the FaZe side showed up in a big way. Then on the Gentlemate side, Envoy, he woke up feeling diffy, and everybody else did as well. And that's not a good thing, because the other guys were playing well, Envoy was playing bad. He said, hey, you guys know that Eddie Murphy movie, Trading Places? I love that movie. Let's act it out right now. In title only. So, Neptune, of course, going neg 14 was a big difference maker there. As you can see, the Gentleman's lost by the difference of 1 hill. Then they got 6-0'd on the Raid S&D. So yeah, go next. 8-1 out draws, 6-1 from Simp, 9-2 from 04, and Abuza got 1 fucking kill. That's hilarious. 1-2 from Abuza. Ghosty was 0-6, so I guess his name is not Daniel. It's now Owen.
Oh, hell no.
Anyways, speaking of Owen, the Paris Gentleman's were owing a lot of people some money after they absolutely got taken to the cleaners by FaZe Vegas in this map 3. 3-2 scoreline for the FaZe Vegas boys behind the CEO, Drawzilla, taking over, going 34-23, and he has his new teammate, Twin 04 right there with him, matching with over 30 kills in the overload, which is insane. 30 kills, like I said a minute ago, comparatively is insane. So, looking at the other side, you had, of course, Mr. McLeod, Travis Neptune McLeod going 29-27. You had Sib going 29-27 as well. I don't know why we all call him Travis Neptune McLeod. Like, I don't know. I guess his name just sounds cool. So, anyways, 24-24 from Ghosty, and then Envoy went neg 8. So, all throughout the respawns, at least, it was relatively close. You just had bad alternating performances from Envoy and Neptune. If either one of those players contributed a little bit more, this series probably looks a little bit different in the scoreline, but not in the end result. I think FaZe was just on another level. OpTic and Shotzi even said in their last interview going into the major after they got their last stage victory over the Toronto Koi, excusez-moi, that he thought that they would face FaZe in the grand finals. So FaZe definitely lived up to the hype after they had a really tight series against LA Thieves. I think going down 2-0 was really important for them because the map 1, they were very arrogant, and you could tell that they very much were feeling themselves. They felt like they had a really good chance to take this whole tournament, and they got a wake-up call. So, speaking of people getting wake-up calls, Minnesota G2, they had a very, very lax Saturday against Pred and the Falcons, which, from what we heard, they were fighting some sickness themselves. Somebody on the team, I believe, Kismet was sick. So the Falcons were kind of chalked from the beginning. I mean, if you have a player that's really sick, like, I mean, it's tough. Like, if you're sick, you definitely are going to struggle to play college. Just like if you're sick, you struggle on an NBA team. It's just, there's 4 players, so less room for error. Anyways, speaking of room for error, Dashy left none, right? He ate, left no crumbs. 1.2 series IR, 55 kills, 39 deaths, 1.41, excuse me, KD on the series, and 7,500 damage. Now, his AR duo, Mercules, 1.25, 60 kills, 48 deaths. Huke, the Nuke, 56 kills, 48 deaths. And Shotzi, the Warlord, he was sitting back calling the shots like you expect a Warlord to. Not a lot of kills, 52 kills, 49 deaths, but he still did his thing. So, speaking of people doing their thing, OpTic came out really hot in the map 1-2, 50-107, not a lot to talk about. They got absolutely after it. Minnesota G2 got left after it was all said and done and just kind of never thought about ingratiating themselves into the swing of things again, you know? So, yeah, Mercules 29-17, Dashy, his AR duo 23-18, Huke 27-22, and then Shotzi was neg 1, 19-20. And then on the G2 side, everybody did really bad. 20-24 from Estriel and Skies, Mamba 19-25, and Kremp 18-25. Map 2, Raid S&D. This was another strong one for OpTic on the weekend. And yeah, 8-3 from Dashy, 7-4 from Shotzi, 8-6 from Merc. And then on the other side, everybody went negative. So not a lot to talk about there. Map 3, the Den Overload. You, of course, had Dashy going crazy, 24-18. Huke, 25-21. Shotzi, 26-25. And Merc going slightly neg, 23-25. And then on the other side, you had Skies going 27-26. And everyone on G2 otherwise going negative. Excuse me. Now, this is a really interesting one. We, of course, had the Toronto Koi taking on the Paris Gentlemen. So let's look at my bracket, actually, see how things are going for your boy. So let's catch up. The 11 o'clock games, I went 1 for 2. I picked the mates. I picked the Heretics, and then I picked FaZe. So that was good. And then I split here as well. I picked Riyadh Falcons, and I picked OpTic Texas. So there's that update. I had FaZe beating Miami in the matchup where they beat Gentlemates, and then I had OpTic beating Falcons. So top half of the bracket, I was right. I did not have that much faith in FaZe to make this run. I just was more convinced by what I had seen from Miami. So as you guys can see, Koi versus G2. I had Koi taking it over G2 3-1. Thieves versus Mates. I had Thieves taking this over Mates. Thieves obviously beat Heretics. And then FaZe over Koi. I had Koi getting eliminated here in round 2. I had the Thieves taking down the Falcons, so I got this one right as well. And then in the Elim Finals, I had FaZe taking down the LA Thieves. So I did get right that the team coming from the top half of the bracket would win, but I didn't slot the right team in there. And then in the elimination final, I had FaZe beating OpTic Texas, as you guys can see, but they ended up beating Koi. And then we'll get to Sunday later, right? So just to catch up, we had Kleenex with the 1.13 KD for the Toronto Koi side in the series, 86 and 76. And then Kips was 93 and 87. Great showing from him. Insight 74 and 71. And Joe went -9. So really slow day for Joe here, but really didn't matter. Teammates stepped up. 96 and 82 from Sib. He had a great weekend, and so did Ghosty. Like I said a little bit earlier, Ghosty, I do remember him being a really solid contributor. It's just Neptune and Envoy had a very bad weekend. So, yeah, I mean, you got Envoy going -25, dude. God damn. That's tough. So, looking at the map 1, speaking of people going neg by egregious amounts, you, of course, had Envoy going -11. Then, on the other side, you had the Toronto Koi boys doing very well. 24 and 26 from Joe Thieves, their worst performer. 25 and 27 from Insight. 35 and 25 from Kips, who blacked out. And 29 and 20 from Kleenex. On the mate side, Sib was the only player with a positive KD going 31 and 27. Everybody else went neg. In the map 2, of course, the mates were able to get back behind a 10 and 5 performance from Sib. Sib was just popping pieces. There was one round where he literally got a 3-piece to close it out. He was sniping, he was doing it all. So this was a Sib takeover map, and his teammates contributed very well, and they're able to get a pretty easy win over Koi. 10-5 from him, like I mentioned. 5-4 from Ghosty's AR duo. Envoy had a good one here, 7-6. Then on the other side, the only player to do well was Kips. That rhymed. So looking at the map 3, we of course had Exposure Overload, where Sib was the standout with the 1.45 KD and a loss. He had 29 and 20. Ghosty was 21 and 18. And then Neptune was 25 and 23. Honestly, Koi just held the lead for most of this, and Gentleman's made it interesting towards the back half, but Koi was able to pull out a really, really clutch win in the end. This went to OT. I posted on YouTube Shorts. This is honestly the best overload that we've seen this year, so if you missed it, definitely go back and check it out. Now, if you missed it, check out the map 4 as well. Just check out this whole series. It was honestly a really good series, really fun one. As you guys can see, Ghosty was 27 and 25. Neptune was 27 and 26. And then Envoy and Sib, as you could surmise, went neg. Envoy neg 6, Sib neg 4. So not huge, like, in the grand scheme of things, but definitely didn't help you to get a win, right? 1.47 from Jamie Insight. This is where he really started to show that, while he's at home in Birmingham, in front of his friends and fam, he wanted to turn up. So, love to see that. His duo, Kleenex, stepped up with him, which is almost poetic, right? These guys have been kind of on the back burner for the last 2 to 3 years in terms of the assumptions, and they just had a really, really loud weekend, and you love that. So, speaking of people who had really loud weekends, the LA Thieves with Neum were looking amazing. And speak of the devil, that young man was the series MVP with a 1.26 KD, 78 kills, 62 deaths, 9,500 damage. He was having a great day, and so was the other rookie on the G2 side, Mamba, who went even. Everybody else, conversely, on his team went negative, with Caesar Skies being the most egregious. -25. Damn. Invest in that kill, my brother. Damn. Jeez. 78 and 62 from Liam. 84 and 69 from Paco. 66 and 57 from Abizi. And 80 and 70 from Ernie himself. So, looking at it, the LA Thieves came out really hot in the Colossus map 1. Scrap is always really good at Colossus. He's always really on point when he plays this map. So, not really surprising to see him drop 28 and 26. Similar scoreline from his duo Hydra. They were twinsies. They were matching. Neum 27 and 27. And Abizi, he's one egg one. So, great contribution from everybody. On the G2 side, conversely, you got great contributions from Mamba and Kremp. Mamba went 27 and 22. And Kremp went even with 28 and 28. So, looking at the map 2, Colossus S&D, you of course had who else but the rookie Mamba taking over in the round 11 to get a decisive victory over the Los Angeles Thieves in a really, really interesting series and definitely a fun one if you go back and watch. Apart from that one was, you know. But anyways, the map 2 was really fun, so if you missed that, go back and watch it. Like I said, Hydra 9 and 8, Abizi went even, 6 and 6, and Scrap also went even, 7 and 7. And then on the G2 side, like I said, Mambo was 8 and 7, Estriel went even, 8 and 8, Skies was 7 and 7, and then Kremp was 5 and 6. So really an even game for everybody across the board. Name was 5 and 7, Kremp was 5 and 6. No one had a bad game. Most players in this lobby had a pretty even game, like 1.13 KD and 1.14 KD is the best. So literally just even contributions from everybody. Everybody was dying as much as they were killing, which is kind of interesting. A very balanced game. So, speaking of balanced games, this one was not that. Niam was 24 and 12. He shifted the pendulum in his favor greatly, KD-wise. With this one, 23 and 15 from Abizi and 21 and 19 from Scrap. Hydra went neg 1. And then on the G2 side, Kremp was pause 1, but everybody else went neg. You had Estriel going neg 9, and then you had Skies going neg 11. So, that's tough. So, in the map 4, LA Thieves just 100-point clubbed them. Goddamn. 22 and 16 from Nam, 27 and 14 from Hydra, 24 and 18 from Scrappy Dappy Doo, and 15 and 13 from Abizi. Abizi had 15 kills. He didn't have to do anything. 13 and 22 from Kremp, 15 and 24 from Skies, Estriel 15 and 21, and Mamba 17 and 21. So, I don't know. Like Estriel was saying in one of their interviews, G2 sometimes they come out really flat, and they look like they don't know what the hell to do on the map. I think this is just one of those days. Speaking of one of those days, we kicked off Championship Sunday with Toronto Koi and Kips taking down the LA Thieves in a hotly contested 3-0. So, as you guys can see, Kips stand out 1.27 average KD, 1.27 KD, 70 kills, 55 deaths, 8,400 damage, 1.15 series IR, and then his complement was, of course, Jamie Insight, the man who's playing for the home crowd. He did the interview with Kips after this one, so that was pretty cool. He said, "What do we think of Gentlemates?" Oh wait, no, that was the earlier one where they played Gentlemates. Yeah, so this was a solo interview. I think this was Joe. This was Joe, yeah. 61 to 49 out of Insight. Joe deceives, the man who I just spoke of, 1.04, and Kleenex was neg 5, so he had a good series relatively. On the LA Thieves side, Abizi went negative. Everybody else, I'm sorry, Abizi went even, excuse me. Everybody else went negative. Scrap had his worst series in a long time, 48 and 63. I was just singing his praises, but hey, I say he was good at Colossus. I did not say he was good at Den, so I actually saved myself there. Speaking of Scrap not being good at Den, this brother went neg 10. Wow, okay. So looking at the Toronto side, you had everybody going positive or even, and then you had the LA Thieves, everybody going negative, color-coded to their team colors. So, on the Toronto Koi side, you had Insight, the hometown hero, going 32 and 21, 1.52 KD, 4,000 damage, 30 and 26 from Kips, the new rookie upstart player on the team, his AR duo. And then you had Joe and Kleenex SMG duo. Joe dropped 1.09, excuse me, and Kleenex went even. Looking at the map 2, Colossus S&D, a map that Thieves are typically very good at. This is definitely a S&D that they hang their hat on. This is another one that Koi's pretty good at too, to be fair. So this is honestly a square up. A lot of times this weekend we saw teams play each other on their best maps. That's why some of the results were kind of surprising in some of these upsets, like Koi taking down, let's say, Gentlemates, LA Thieves. Example, Mates taking down the Miami Heretics, right? We had some pretty surprising results, and that's just a result of teams squaring up. Like you saw in the Miami series, it was a 10-point game. So, you know, that's just what it was. It's at that point in the game. So, 9 and 6 from Kips on their best map, 8 and 7 from Joe. And on the other side, Scrap 8 and 6, and Hydra 7 and 6. So, the duos were doing their thing. The new duo from the Toronto Koi side against the age-old duo from LA Thieves, and the Toronto Koi, that new duo, came out ahead. Speaking of that new duo coming out ahead, Kips, of course, one of the leaders of the new duo, that being him and Joe Deceives, had a 1.35. He was a standout in this map 3 exposure overload. If you remember, I said 30 kills is insane. 26 and 23 from Niam, BZ 27 and 24. And then on the Koi side, Insight had a 1.09 with 23 and 25 and 23, excuse me. And then you had Joe Deceives going neg 1, Kleenex going neg 4. And on the Thieves side, you had Hydra going neg 4 for the L, and Scrap going neg 7. So honestly, bad day for Scrap. if you get a better performance out of him, you'd have to figure that the series looks quite different. We're almost out of here, guys, so bear with me. So looking at the winners final, you guys can see I had the Miami Heretics taking down OpTic Texas in a game 5. I thought it would be kind of a shocker. I thought we'd see Miami make it. And, I thought in that rivalry, just giving it to Sunday, I thought they would take it. So, of course, we just covered the LA Thieves Koi match. I had FaZe Vegas making it through the losers bracket, getting bumped down a little bit earlier against the Heretics. Didn't come to fruition, so obviously it was Koi Thieves. Then we had FaZe versus Koi after they played OpTic in this winners finals. So, in the winners finals, you of course had Huke the Nuke going crazy, 1.35, 101 kills, 75 deaths, 11,000 damage. He had, well, I just reviewed his stats, 83 and 72 from Dashy, 1.15, shout out to the Zombies com, 89-79 from Mercules, Savior of OpTic, and Shotzzy, 82 and 82. On the FaZe side, of course, Simp, the guy you would expect, was the lone standout, 83 kills, 84 deaths, and then everybody else was negative as well. So, speaking of negative, the OpTic Texas boys gave the FaZe Vegas side a very negative omen for the rest of the series in this map one. 29 and 22 from Huke, 26 and 23 from Dashy, 25 and 24 from Mercules, and then Shotzzy went even. And conversely, on the FaZe side, Draws was 26 and 25, and 04 went even, but Simp and Booza had a rough one. So in the map 2, Raid S&D, this is the lone win in the series for FaZe. Simp went absolutely nuclear, 13 and 6. He was just taking over on this map. He's giving him wicked belt. Draws was 7 and 5. Abuza went even, and then 04 was 6 and 8. So honestly, FaZe they played this really well. 8 and 8 from Huke and Merc, and that's really the best performance from the OpTic side. Shotzzy and Dashy, that age-old duo, went neg. So, looking at the map 3, Den Overload, it was a domination for OpTic Texas. They were just running these guys at a certain point. Like, by the time we got to the half, that's where OpTic really started to separate themselves very early on into the second half, and then they never looked back. So, Huke 30 and 22, 27 and 22 out of Dashy, Shotzzy 27 and 23, and Merc, slightly neg, 24 and 27. Then on the FaZe side, all red, whole lot of red. 27 and 29 from Draws was the best performance, but everybody did pretty bad. Look at the map 4 where we closed it out. Everybody did pretty bad once again. All red for the FaZe side. 04 was neg 14. Draws was neg 8. Abuz was neg 6. And Simp was neg 1. And then on the OpTic Texas side, everybody just did really well. Merc was plus 12. 32 and 20 with a 1.6. Huke was plus 11. 34 and 23 with a 1.48. You had Dashy 24 and 19 with a 1.26. And you had Shotzzy with a 1.04 going 28 and 27. So, that's how we got to the losers finals, where we had FaZe Vegas taking down Toronto Koi. And as you guys remember, probably from what I said before, Abuza may have started out slow in their first matchup of the weekend, but he definitely got back to his Belgian greatness. He was waffling no more, to make a bad pun. And yeah, he was 89 and 71 with a 1.25 KD and 12,000 damage. So, Abuza, one half of the Zaza Bro duos, took over in this losers finals. He was like, hey, I've made 5 grand finals. My hit rate's 0%, but I'm trying to get to 16.67. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to get that 1 for 6, trying to get a win. So, 04, the other man who was yet to make a final and win it at this point, was 97 and 82. These guys were on a mission to make it back to the finals. They were like, hey, we haven't been here with Simp and Draws. We think we can win. And, hey, they were right. Simp was neg 6. Draws was neg 17. Damn. And then on the Koi side, you, of course, had Joe Deceives going positive 19, 96 and 77. And then you had Insight going 78 and 74. So, Hometown Hero tried. Kleenex was neg 14, and Kips was negative 19. So, worst series we've seen from Kips. Well, a couple attempts. The OpTic series was definitely way worse for him. Anyways, speaking of way worse for him, Abuza was way worse for him this time. 42 and 23 on the map 1. He absolutely blacked out. FaZe was not in it at all. It was just Abuza carried them across that finish line with all the kills he was getting. It was just like he was wiping the whole team by himself. And at that point, like, your teammates, as long as they're doing okay, like, and 04 did really well. He blacked out as well. So, you had 2 blackout games and 2 absolute crash out games, right, from the same team. So that's just a testament to how well FaZe were playing and how well Abuza played this map, because they should have lost it. This should have been a Game 5 series, realistically looking at the scoreboard. Simp was neg 2, so realistically it's a 3v4. You can win that, especially when you have Kips going neg 11, you have Kleenex going neg 5. They're slightly out to play, so it's really like a 3v3-ish, more like a 3v2. So 10-point game. That just means Joe Thieves was doing everything, and Insight was really playing very smart. You can see 111 seconds in the hill for him, almost 2 minutes. 27 kills, 26 deaths. Joe 37 and 27. Just an efficiency masterclass, right? And then Abuza had 129 seconds in the hill. The MF had 2 minutes and 10 seconds. God damn. 5,000 damage, 42 kills, 23 deaths. That's one of the best performances we've ever seen. So, speaking of one of the best performances we have seen, Kips had one of the best performances that we've seen from him, and Joe Thieves had a really good performance. He went 8 and 3. Kips was 10 and 5. Kleenex went even, and Insight also went even. So, whole lot of green on the Koi side in this map too on exposure. But 04 was the only player on FaZe who had a positive KD. Everybody else was just kind of out to play. Speaking about the play, 04 was definitely not out to play in this map 3. He was 32 and 19 with the 1.68. And then Simp, of course, was 27 and 22, his SMG duo. And then on the other side, you had Insight, the hometown hero, being the lone person with a positive KD going +4. Kips was -4. Kleenex was neg 10, and Joe was -1. So, the Zaza Bros, I mean, they went neg, but who cares? You won the game 5-3. You had a pretty clear advantage. So, speaking of a clear advantage, FaZe Vegas did not have a clear advantage in this map 4 because it went 250 to 225 in their favor, but Draza and Abuza, the Zaza Bros, did just enough to will them across the finish line. 27 and 22 from Draws, 28 and 23 from Abuza, and then Simp and 04, they had a slightly negative game. 20 and 25 from Simp, and then 04 dropped a .96, of course, going 25 and 26. So, on the Koi side, we of course had Joe Thieves going 28 and 23, you had Kleenex going 27 and 26, and then everybody else went neg. And that moves us to the grand finals, where we had FaZe Vegas taking down OpTic Texas 4-1. As you guys can see, I thought FaZe Vegas would make it to the finals, but I thought they would lose to Miami Heretics, and I didn't think OpTic would win. So, 04, the man who we criticized a lot last year for not winning any finals, not looking his best in finals, looked his best in finals. So 1.4 from 04, almost poetic. 118 kills, 84 deaths, 13,000 damage, 1.11 series IR. And then looking at the box score, Simp, he had an amazing grand final as well. 109 kills, 89 deaths, 1.22. Abuza 87 and 77, and his KD 1.13 on the series, and Draws was neg 3, so great showing from everybody on the FaZe side. On the OpTic side, everybody went negative. Dashy was -7. Shotzi was -14. You have Mercules, damn, he went -19. And then you have Huke going -22. That's tough. So OpTic, yeah, I mean, they just got fried. That is what it is. Looking at the map 1, speaking of getting fried, 04 came out insanely motivated in this map 1. He was going crazy. He just put them on skates, put them on the highlight reel. 37 and 21 from him, 36 and 23 from Simp, 32 and 23 from the CEO. And then Abuza, he went even. He could just put his feet up, get 101 seconds in the hill. On the OpTic side, everybody went negative. -11 from Dashy, -10 from Huke, -8 from Merc, and then -8 from Shotzi. So, just cooked. Looking at the map 2, Raid S&D, this was the lone map that OpTic was able to win. They dominated this one very decisively. Shotzi was 13-4. He was just doing whatever he wanted. He was absolutely in cheeks, as they like to say. 7 and 3 from Dashy, 5 and 4 from Huke, and Mercules went slightly neg, so not a big deal when you win 6-2. In the map 3, Scar Overload, of course, Dashy was the lobby MVP. He went 31 and 24. He went off in this one, but it didn't matter because FaZe, they were just playing together as a team more effectively. As you can see, it was a one-score game, and the KDs for FaZe were definitely superior to OpTic by that of 3 kills, right? But the spread was also a lot better. You had players on FaZe going even, so consequentially, in the gunfights that they were winning, they were treading water, right? They weren't getting trounced or losing important gunfights consistently, and that's what you really look to the kills to tell you. So 31-28 from Simp, 27-25 from 04, Draws at 27-27, and Abuza -2. And on the other side, Dashy 31-24, like I said a second ago, only player to go positive. But the rest of the OpTic players went -2, 3, and 5, so not really a big deal. Looking at the exposure HP, this went the way of FaZe Vegas, 250 at 207, behind who else but Abuza. He blacked out. He's proving that he's really just a monster on exposure at this point. Exposure this weekend, he had quite a few insane performances, so I definitely expect for Abuza to continue performing like that on exposure going into Major 3 and beyond, if it stays in the map pool, just because clearly he's very comfortable on it. So 29-16 from him, like I said, 35 and 23 from 04, Simp 31 and 22, and then Draza 19 and 26. And then on the OpTic side, everybody went negative, so that's that. So in the game 5, this went down to a round 11 where FaZe Vegas was able to get the dub. 04 dropped 14 and 8 to finally break the seal, finally get his first chip. Abuza, he won a super clutch 1v1, and he almost won a 1v2, but Mercules got the defuse in time. Obviously, you guys can see Merc went 10 and 7. He was a standout for OpTic on this expose. But yeah, FaZe was able to get it done. 04 and Abuza were not going to be denied. And that's how the weekend ended. So yeah, guys, FaZe Vegas are your Major 2 champions. They are currently number 2 in the standings with 270 pro points on the season behind OpTic X's 290. Currently sitting at 19-10 win-loss record with 1 Major 1. Paris Gentlemanmates are the 3rd seeded team with 1 Major 1 as well. They won Major 1. That's a mouthful, right? 1 Major 1, they won Major 1. And then FaZe, 1 Major 1, they won Major 2. So OpTic Texas, we'll see if they can win Major 3 or any of the other upcoming majors. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned for that. We start Major 3 quals April 16th, so we have a long layover in between. But I will be bringing you guys more content to the channel, going over what we saw and kind of covering some interesting things. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let's check the leaderboard, see where I'm ranked. Okay, I'm top 2,000 right now, so we're climbing. Yeah. So that's that. So yeah, hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, like I always say on these videos. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for something else, maybe a recap or overview of something. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for all the love and support, guys. This weekend was amazing. Did a lot of views. And yeah, appreciate you guys showing a lot of love and support. Hope you guys have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Once again, this is Sports News, Sports News, 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 news,